I recently read an article by a fellow in his 30s, and he claimed that his contemporaries, his married friends, were not having children. They decided to adopt. They called it eco-adoption. There's too many people in the world, and therefore they're not going to add to the numbers. I don't think the problem is overpopulation. This is me. I think the problem is overconsumption. But be that as it may, adoption is really a respectable thing to do these days. Years ago, it wasn't. When you adopted a little child, you didn't broadcast that everywhere. And most of the time, you never even told the child before the child grew up. And even then, many people discovered they were adopted when they had become adults and their adopted parents have gone. But adoption has become accepted, admired, respectable, and a big business today. But adoption is a fiction. It's just not true. When you adopt a child, you are not the parents of that child. You are acting as the parents of that child. Today is Trinity Sunday. It's the last Sunday in that long cycle of scriptural pondering which we have been doing since the first Sunday of Advent. All the great deeds God has done for us in the person of the Hebrew people, in the coming of Jesus, in the teachings and the things that he achieved for us, and in the sending of the Spirit. Today is sort of like the final chapter, the epilogue, if you will, of all that we have prayed over since Advent. And the kernel of the truth of what today brings us and what all those other Sundays brought us is that we have been adopted by God. Not with a fictitious adoption, but with an adoption that is a reality. When God wants something to happen, it happens. God spoke the word and everything came into being. That's why there is something in existence. That's why there is not nothing in existence. When God adopts, it's a real adoption. Real life is transmitted from the parent to the child, which is not the case in human adoption. The Spirit, which we celebrated last Sunday, the Spirit of God enters into us in a way which adopted parents would love to have happen with their child, that their spirit could enter, that their DNA, if you will, could enter that child. But it only happens when God adopts. Which means, of course, that the Son of God is our sibling. Jesus is our brother in the human family and in the family which is the Trinity. Jesus is our sibling because Jesus and we share the same parent. We are really, as St. Paul said, and that's why the most important reading today was the second reading, we are really adopted with an adoption that goes far beyond anything that we could imagine. And why John says in his epistles, we are truly the children of God. Is this too good to be true? Well, it really is. It's mind-boggling. It takes an entire, in my experience at least, it takes an entire lifetime to begin to come to grips with the reality of being adopted by God. And I think it's only after our own resurrection and ascension that we will come to really believe what adoption by God means. It's only then when we really get it. In the meantime, our Father in heaven says, even if you don't get it now, start acting like Jesus. Start behaving like a child of God. Imitate your brother. That's what it's all about. That's what it ever will be all about. And we are blessed to be part of that about.